So let's start simple. Who are you and what's the journey that brought you to running for Orange County Judge?
Hi, I'm Cheris Adams. I have been serving as an Orange County judge since 2023. As a prosecutor for over 10 years, I represented our community on cases involving child sexual abuse, violent crimes, and homicides. As a judge, I have presided over both civil and criminal cases. Um, Prior to uh, becoming a judge, just as far as the journey that led me here. My journey started when I was in junior high. One of my best friends when I was in junior high had a family tragedy. One of the members of her family was murdered in a very senseless crime. And I watched her family walk through the criminal justice process. I saw them grieve. I saw how really difficult that was for them. But I also saw the closure and some of the healing that they obtained as a result of the criminal justice process. And so, even as a junior hire walking through high school with my friend through that process, I knew that I wanted to be able to help people in that way. And so, that's why I became a prosecutor. And then as a prosecutor, I saw how important it was for a criminal case when people could trust that the judge involved in the case was going to follow the law, when the judge is going to actually see the individuals involved in the case to recognize the unique circumstances that they have and the very specific effect that that case had on their lives, and would treat them with dignity and respect. I knew that Orange County had a need for judges. There was an opening, and I knew that I could serve my community in that way. So that's why I'm here. I'm honored to have been able to serve Orange County in this way since 2023.
Oh, that's amazing. So for those who don't know, please describe the area or areas Group 17 covers.
Right. So Group 17 is essentially a number for the number of judge position that it is. So I'm a county court judge, which means that I cover all of Orange County. So there are also obviously multiple other county court judges, at least 17 because I am group number 17. And so that's why it's 17 is the specific seat that I have, is the specific position number essentially. But as a county court judge, the jurisdiction is over anybody in Orange County that brings a case in the county.
So you've built your career in law. What's one thing about the justice system that most people completely misunderstand?
Uh, um, One thing that I think about with that is how long it can take a case to happen and to go through the process. And it seems while that's happening, like nothing is happening with your case. It can seem like everybody has forgotten what you've gone through, that everybody has forgotten about your case, and it's just sitting there in a pile of cases with nothing going on for a long time. Uh, That's not always the reality. In fact, most of the time, people are working behind the scenes. The attorneys are investigating the case, they are gathering evidence, they are interviewing witnesses, and they are preparing their strategy for trial. Um, any motions that have to be filed and anything that has to be done is being done during that time. So even though it seems like nothing is happening, people are working on your case, and justice will come.
So why this seat and why now? What made you feel like stepping into the bench was the right next move?
So, I said I had served as a prosecutor for a long time, and I had the honor of standing with victims as they were walking through really difficult times. Uh, some of the cases that I worked on involved children, and obviously some really violent crimes. I saw from their cases the difference that it made when the judge truly saw them, when they could trust that the judge was going to follow the law and was going to put in the time to actually do the case law research and familiarize themselves with the case. And I knew that that's the way that I could serve.
Yeah. Courtrooms can be very intimidating for people who've never been in one. You've mentioned working in very uh yeah. How do you make people feel heard and not overwhelmed?
Yeah. The courtroom can be a really scary place. And I certainly understand that. I remember stepping into a courtroom for the first time as a young prosecutor and how terrified I was. One of the things that I'm reminded of is that, you know, for people who are walking into that courtroom, they're often unsure why they're there or how they're going to be treated. And so reading people with, a smile instead of a scowl, and, having a softer expression on your face and clearly explaining at the beginning why we are there, what the hearing is about, what the court is able to address that day, and what we are not addressing that day. Helps establish some clear expectations for what is going to happen. I tend to lay out a basic, framework for what to expect for the hearing, who is going to be arguing first, who I will hear from next, and just a basic procedure so that everybody understands what we're there for and what is going to happen. Um, and hopefully that helps people ease into it a little bit better.
Yeah. When people hear judge, they think of authority, but what does fairness actually look like to you in a real courtroom setting?
To me, it looks like actually seeing somebody, actually listening to what they're saying, and to giving everybody a fair chance to be heard. Uh, a judge, when they are listening to someone's testimony, shouldn't just be, looking down or conducting research while somebody is talking. They should be listening. They should be looking at the witness, listening to what they actually have to say, and truly seeing them for the unique individual that they are and for the unique concern that they are bringing to the court to solve.
Yeah. What's a moment from your legal career that really stuck with you? Something that still influences how you approach cases?
There's quite a few moments that really stand out, but I think if I had to choose one, it would be preparing a child witness to testify in court as a prosecutor. Um, that really helped me understand how to be able to explain the proceedings to somebody, even a kid,
Yeah.
to be able to walk them through the process, even doing a little practice with them in the courtroom. We would arrange for the courtroom to be empty so that we could walk the child through the courtroom, place them in the witness stand, and help them to experience that so that they were not completely terrified the first time. It gave me such great respect for the strength of victims of in criminal cases, for witnesses who appear in the court, and even people who are observing in court. I know it's a really scary experience for a lot of people, but I think that helped emphasize to me how important it was for the court to treat people with kindness, with respect, and in recognition of the dignity that they hold as individuals.
Judges have to be neutral, but they're still human. How do you balance compassion with sticking strictly to the law?
Court can be really difficult sometimes because even though your heart may really reach out to somebody and you may really understand the reason why they brought their case, they might not be able to win just because of the way that the law is written or the lack of evidence that they have. I've certainly learned, in my years as a judge, that there is a way to explain to somebody that you cannot rule in their favor while still showing compassion. There's a way to deliver a ruling with grace and with kindness and with humility, so that somebody, even if they don't win, they understand why it happened. They understand the ruling and they know that they were seen and that they were heard.
What do you think is the biggest challenge facing the Ninth Judicial Circuit right now, and how would you approach it if elected?
Our county is growing so much. Uh, we have gotten more judges, but the number of people that are moving into Orange County and the number of cases that we have are vastly outpacing the number of new judges that we have gotten. So our case numbers are going up. And as people who value efficiency and know that that means, that it's going to take longer for other people's cases to come in front of us, we don't want people to wait too long to have their case heard and to have their dispute solved. That does create a challenge because we want to be efficient, but we also want to make sure that we are giving people the time that they need to explain to the court what is going on and to be able to make their case. So I have handled some really heavy dockets in the past. I can move efficiently through cases, and I have shown that I can, while still recognizing that the most important thing is making sure that people are heard.
Yeah. So let's fast forward to the end of your first term. What do you want the community to say about Judge Cherish Adams? What does success look like to you?
I hope that the community knows that they can trust me. Having served in this position since 2023, I have proven that I have the knowledge and that I have the experience to do this job well. I hope the community knows that they can trust me, that they have seen from the rulings that I have given on the bench, for the way that people are treated in my courtroom, that they know that they can trust me to faithfully apply the law, even if they cannot always win.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.